Am I starting?
Yes.
So, not a ton to report this week. Finished working on my side project, which was a beehive weight scale, and put some code out on the GIST hub with that. But what's up? What I'm sharing at the moment is my Miro board and a section in the Miro board with looking at some GPS units. I had a GPS unit probably get struck by lightning or something that made the board fry. So I needed to replace what was a base station. And I was looking at these guys called NavSpark, and a number of their different units. This is a unit that the GPS is a 1172RH, and it's on a development board. And what's interesting to me about these is, number one, the price. You can see $170 plus shipping. But this is one that will provide heading. And I've at the moment I've gotten this to take correction data if I'm hardwired, and I'm in the process of trying to figure out how to get my 3DR radios to get correction data into the board. The board happens to be 3.3 volts, and I haven't gotten the correction data physically connected to GPS units and got correction data in, and gotten fix. But I haven't successfully used these 3DR radios to get that. So I think it must be a configuration issue with my baud rates. I think I found where this GPS unit wants the baud rate to be 115, 200, and I may have configured the radio at 57.6 or whatever. Plus, I've was working through the power issues, and I've got a regulator, 3.3 volt regulator to feed the power to the board, and also well, the 5 volt would come in and power both the regulator as well as the radio. And I do have the TX to RX to TX to RX between the base and the Rover. So I don't think that's my issue. I think it's down in the configuration of my radios. So that's, again, not urgent for me because I have a tractor here in Pennsylvania that I need to probably cut grass with next week. Hopefully it'll be above 50 degrees and get out, and that still uses my old GPSs. But that's what I've got working on at the moment, as sort of a side project. Questions on any of that?
So you said if you do hardwire the two together, it does give you correction data and everybody's happy.
Yep.
And on the that new board with the dual antennas on it, is that the way they tell you should be powering the thing? Or do they mention anything? Because at the top it looks like two USB ports on the board. And typically if you're running off USB, that would do, I assume they have a regulator that regulates it down to 3.3 volts and makes it,
Yeah,
and everybody should be happy.
this is I'm on their forum, and this was the best I could find was, for the Rover and the base station, and they show in their configuration sending 5 volts to the 3DR radio, and then they show the Pixhawk connector into this 3.3 volt regulator. But I've just got the same 5 volts coming up to the regulator.
Okay,
So yes, to answer your question, this is the best documentation I could find, and it shows. Oh, here's one for the base station. 5-volt power to the regulator and to the 3DR radio.
okay. And when you held up the board earlier before we started recording, I was wondering if you got the right one or the wrong one, and it looks like you got the right one because there's another one that looks just like that, but then it says one of the antennas connectors says unused, and one of the USB connectors says unused. But it looks like you've got the RH that is the one with the heading, so that looks like it should do what you want.
Yeah, as you might guess, with that price point, the documentation is not super fantastic, but yeah, I think I've been able to figure out there's a special sentence that it publishes that you've got to strip off to get the heading. I think it's one of their custom sentences.
Do you recall what that's called? What the name of the sentence is?
I think it begins with a PC to show that it's one of their
Okay.
unique unique sentences.
And keep in mind when you go to mount your antennas, you can either mount one in the front and one in the back, or mount one on the left and one on the right. And then that'll give you either pitch or it'll give you roll also. And I think either one will give you heading, but it'll probably be off by 90 degrees depending where you put your antennas doing that. So
Hmm.
so mine, I put one on the front and one on the back, and that gives me heading, and then that also gives me pitch by doing that. You can go look at one of the probably that same sentence it puts out. It would give you probably gives you pitch, roll, and yaw or something out of that. I don't remember what that is.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't spent too much time on the sentences or the heading sentence yet. It's been about getting the darn correction data working over the radios.
And as far as the price on these things, that board with the two antennas on it is about this. It's a little cheaper than what one single board from RG Simple will cost you. So I had to buy two boards in order to get it to do basically the same thing. So this is about half the price of what the RG Simple stuff would be. And when you got it right there, it does say L1, L2, so it's not the new L1, L5. And so I assume your one you're using for the base station also says L1 and L2 on it.
Mm-hmm.
Then everybody should be happy then, I think. So does their configuration software work with it? Where you just load it up on your laptop and plug it in, and it shows you all
They
the
they have their own um, configuration.
yeah, that software right there.
This and I don't know if it's open when let's see. I mean, I just used the default settings to get started for yeah, RTK mode. No, you got to have if you go into this RTK mode, you basically say, I want to be a rover or I want to be a base station. And you've got a couple of extra settings in there, but um, it's very simple and very quick. Well, again, to get it to work for default now, the speed, I've seen 2 or 3 different references to how fast the update is, so I can't speak with certainty yet about just how fast I can get GPS data to the rover. But I think it'll be 10 hertz. At the minimum, it'll be 10 hertz. It might get 20, and I saw one reference to 50.
I noticed they sell one board that says it'll update at 100 hertz, but if that's a special board you got to buy, I don't know how fast you can get just these individual boards run. Can you pull up that one that's the web page again that was telling the I was thinking maybe it was telling you there. It says no, it's just saying degrees of accuracy, and because one of the things they were selling, it said, it would do RTK at this speed, it would do heading at this speed. I think it said that other board, I think said it would do RTK at 10 hertz and it would do the heading at 8 hertz is what it was saying there. But if you get it run at 10 hertz, then that'll be, as good as what you had to start with. So that
Mhm.
should be reasonable.
They better grab the firmware before they go bankrupt.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's the same firmware. I've got some of these that were from back when these people started on Kickstarter. They've got a little tiny board, the size of like an Arduino Nano, and one of them is a timing based. So I think I got two of the timing based receivers, and then you have to connect those to RTK Live to make them do anything. I'm not sure I ever did anything with those. And I've got two of them that I think it said they're like GPS only, and two more that were maybe Galileo. I can't remember what they were, but I bought that stuff when they first came out with this, and then I don't think I ever did anything with them. But that same software, probably a much older version of it is what came with those, and that's what you back in the days that's what you would have used. Now they come up with all this
Oh,
new
really?
fancy RTK. So I
So
think
they,
that probably is your best choice. Pull up the configuration software. It's got all kinds of stuff there you can do, and not have to go track all this stuff down. What commands do I send it to make it do this? I think that software does everything you need it to do.
in the one that I got for the base station, can't probably read it, but that chip is will do Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So I don't know I've never piddled with that before, but there's another little extra capability. And that board was the 1125. Let me see if I can pull that up. Uh, that one was $60. Now that has L5 on it says L5 on the GPS.
Well, that may not be exactly what you want. That which, speaking of correction data, probably this board should run with your existing boards. Go to your existing boards as a base station and send the data to this new board. And I think that should be compatible. I think when it comes down to correction messages, I think they're all standardized messages. As long as both ends are L1 and L2, then I think that should work. Now, if that other board is L1 and L5, then you probably, let's see, is that going to make a difference? It's going to give you correction data for L1 and it's going to give you correction data for L5, but you can't use it on your other end, I don't think. So that's something else to keep track of there. I don't know if you can go in and say, don't just ignore the L5 data coming in, or just simply it might run at half the half as well by only giving the L1 correction data.
I also found because I was struggling with um, getting the radio to work, I'm like, well, how can I debug this? And one thought I had was to hook up um, the receiving radio to something that I can parse the RTCM messages because they're coming in as binary. And I found this library. So again, I haven't used it, but I thought that might come in handy in the debugging process if it's more than just a simple baud rate issue, getting my radios to talk to each other.
Also on those radios, if you have a way to hook a terminal up to your one that would be, we'll call it your base station, and you can type in the messages there to talk to it. You can also put in, you have to go to that page where they explain how to do all this stuff, but basically from that terminal, you can type in a different command and it actually goes out and talks to your remote radio, and you can configure that over the air. without having to hook up the second one to do anything. So at that point, you want to make sure the second radio is set up for the same baud rate to match your GPS receiver.
And I've got that mission planner software that I've used to configure those radios. Is it that software that you're referring to?
No, I was referring to if you go search for 3DR radio advanced setup or whatever, it's on the. We posted that link a while back when we were talking about doing this stuff,
Oh, yeah, I sort of remember that.
and it was talking about the AT commands you can send it. So you fire the radio up, plug it in just a terminal. So you're sitting in a terminal window, and you type in AT something, and it will show you that probably that top one there. Yeah, I think this is the page here. So if you scroll down, scroll down to the AT commands. Now keep going. There will be a big list of them on the screen. Right at the bottom of the screen, there's where they're listing the commands. So you can do so if you do that at ATI5, it dumps out all the numbers that the local one is set to. And if you want to, see right below that list, it says all these commands except ATO may be used on a connected radio, replacing AT with RT. So from your terminal, you can type in RTI5 and it goes out to your remote radio, grabs the values, brings it back and displays them on your screen for you. So you can actually configure both radios by sitting at one computer terminal to do that.
And you just use like PuTTY or something like that to
Yes.
issue the AT commands?
Yeah. So you're gonna have to have some kind of a USB to serial adapter in between there, and then just plug that in the radio, and you can talk to it that way. Now it
Oh,
could even be if you just go to YouTube and say, 3DR radio AT commands or whatever, somebody might take you through the steps on how to do that.
now I think what might have gotten me confused or messed up in the configuration is somewhere, I think, let's see, is it the air data rate that should be slower than the serial rate? I think. Um,
I would think it'd be the other way around, but I don't recall what's the right way to do it.
yeah. Anyway, I don't the serial rate on the GPS board, I think definitely says 115. And so I need to go back and make sure that's what I got on these radios.
And if you happen to have an extra USB to serial converter, you could actually hook up one of those to your base station radio and hook one up to your Rover radio and have, two computers. And you should be able to, type on one and have it come out on the other. Just, send messages back and forth if everything, all the baud rates are set up and you got the wires not crossed and all that kind of stuff. So that'd be another intermediate step. Once you get everything configured and you say power them up, then it goes into the transparent mode where if you type on one screen, it should show up on the other screen, and then you should be able to type there and send it back the other way. And then if you need to get into the setup, the other thing is you have to do I think you do plus 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 to go into the command mode, and the trick is it says you have to wait at least a full second before you start typing, then you hit your 3+ signs, you have to wait like a full second afterwards, and then it'll come back and give you an AT message on the screen. I fought with that for a long time till I realized, oh, you don't do plus 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 return, you don't do plus 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 anything else. You just have to do plus 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 and then sit and wait for it to pop up and say, oh, okay, here's your ATOK message or whatever it is. So that don't be fooled by that.
Plus, 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 wait.
Yeah. Because if you start typing anything else, it just, oh yeah, no, he was just kidding, and it won't go into command mode if you do that.
Yeah, I did putz around with getting, Uno to Nano and Uno to ESP32 working because I was like sort of freaking out that these boards were 3.3 volts. But that was all just ASCII data. It wasn't binary. I mean, I guess I could figure out how to transmit binary data. So yeah, I haven't cracked the code yet on getting the boards the radios definitely work, and I can definitely get them to share data, just not yet with the two GPSs. Via the airwaves, I can do it hardwired.
And then the other thing is, if you go into the configuration, there's something about it. It's called frame type or something like that, and you can either do like nav, whatever radio stuff's
Mavlink,
called.
RAW,
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
else.
yeah. You can do those, and then you want to turn the framing off completely in order to send, text and binary stuff back and forth without it trying to monkey with your messages. To make sure that's set to whatever the options were on that. And back on that web page we had that was telling you what AT commands are, they'll tell you on that page. I think they tell you, but it doesn't. But it doesn't call it the same thing, so it's a little bit tricky trying to find that.
Yeah, I thought with Pixhawk, Mavlink, yeah, I think with the 3DR stuff, or Pixhawk, it likes this Mavlink protocol.
Well, it might like that, but it's because that's what they've designed for the two to talk to each other. You don't want that. You just want to send raw
Yeah,
data, raw, in fact, raw binary data for the correction stuff. So,
that's where I was just,
and I think I've gone used the software you got up right now. I think I used that a couple of times and realized I could just do it manually, and I quit going to the trouble to load this up.
yeah, since I don't have a radio connected, I thought it was on the under advanced. No, maybe it's optional hardware. So here's that Mavlink. Was there something else that
Is the pull down work on that, or is it not going to talk to you because
it's not going to talk to me? Because
yeah, I can't remember. I probably raw data is what you want because I think it has like Mavlink 1 and Mavlink 2 or the other options. So yeah, you want raw data there. I think you can play around the radios. I think you want your airspeed to be faster than your normal serial speed, but because if you send it something, you want it to be able to push that out and be ready for the next one. I think is the way that works. But again, you probably just have to play with it until you get something to work.
oh,
And
anyway,
and keep in mind sometimes they mislabel the transmit and receive pins. They'll label them backwards for whatever reason. So
just
yeah,
for chuckles.
yeah, just look at it enough. Usually you can go out, you can put a voltmeter on it and read the two pins, and whichever one is at 3.3 volts is probably the transmit pin on that particular radio. Is one way you can find out.
Yeah, that's why I went back to getting these radios to work with two microcontrollers sending ASCII data, just to make sure the wiring was right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my next challenge on that. Plus, I want to rejigger my handheld radio control, but the one I have is working and functional, but it's it's definitely, what did Matt used to say? It's very redneckish.
Yeah, he had a couple of colorful phrases there. Have you played with that new receiver enough to know if you put the two antennas on, does it put out heading that looks correct? Because it possibly it'll give you heading whether you have the RTK corrections or not. And I don't recall. I think it kept telling me on my RGU simple stuff that it would do that, but then for some reason it didn't really work, and I don't remember what the point was. But so I'm just curious if it just popped right up and it's working like it's supposed to. And
Um, I don't remember testing that when I had the hardwire correction data going into it. I ran out of the little adapters to go from whatever that small thing is, SMA to TNC. Is that the? And so I was a little bit hardware deficient, I think, at the time. Um, so I can try that the next time I've got them all hooked up.
that's real handy having that heading right there for you. It's something you can trust, and as opposed to trying to get it off an IMU and all that kind of nonsense. So
Yeah, I'm hoping it's will make things a little bit more stable.
and your lawn tractor is probably long enough. Somewhere it states that for doing this moving baseline, you're best off with at least 1 meter separation between the two antennas. And my vehicle is just so small, I can only get 3/4 of a meter. But I think yours is big enough. You put your one on the back and then put another one up on the front. I think you've got in there like 1.75 meters long or something, the whole thing, front to back.
Yeah, base link to the front bumper might be one, I don't know, 1.5, something like that. I have a tube, maybe a 1-inch tube on the front that's the bumper. I don't know if you have any clever ways of hooking a GPS mast to a tube setting. I don't know, thinking would a flagpole connector be the kind of thing that maybe haven't got to that point.
It's just a mechanical issue, so it's not the end of the world. You'll figure something out on that. So you can either use the big 5/8 inch bolt to put in your antenna, or use that little adapter you bought that's the 1/4 inch to 5/8 inch adapter. Anything like that, just to hook it onto something, and then just make sure it's not going to fall off.
Yeah, I can't go driving through. One obstacle I hit was I got too close to the guy's tree where I was cutting, and he had some um, I don't know, blueberry, blackberry bushes or something, stickers, and they were sticking out. And I'm like, you're gonna pull everything off, off my electronics board. I definitely wasn't ready to run through the stickers with it.
You also have to be careful low hanging branches on trees, because those will rip your antennas off and stuff like that too. Did you get any new antennas with this last stuff you bought, or you just gonna use
No,
your
I think I'm
existing
set
ones?
on antennas until I move to something like L5. But yeah, the antennas I've got at the moment are good.
Yeah. So of your original GPS stuff, you've got three working units at this point, right? The one of them died, but you still got three good ones. So you could even
Yes.
set up your base station with one of your old ones, and that way it'll give you the L1 and L2. And it sounds like you got enough stuff to make it work, as well as can be expected. So
Yeah, I'm just here in Pennsylvania, so I was trying to get it to work with these two new GPSs. But you're right. I think the older GPSs are more clunky, and so um, I would, you know, put them in the base station.
and I'd say when you get around to it, try it with the two new boards you got and see what kind of results you get, because I think you will have degraded position, because one is L5 and the other one's L2. But I think it will probably still work. But you can just check to see, is that good enough for what you're trying to do. But I think it would work better if you could take one of your old ones and use that as a base station, and then take the new one with the dual antenna and put on your vehicle. That would be probably a good solution. Oh, by the way, what did it cost you to get it shipped from? Was it Taiwan? Is that where these came from?
I think 60 or $65, and it didn't get held up in customs. It was like super fast. It
Did
was like
did you get an
5 days.
international charge on your credit card?
No, just, whatever the invoice total said when I checked out, that's what I paid.
Yeah, you might go back and check your credit card statement. Sometimes they'll slip it on later and say, "Oh, by the way, here's an extra 10% we charged you." So it doesn't show up on the original stuff, but it'll just be something extra there. That's something I always worry about. That's another reason why, I prefer to find something United States if I can. And I don't remember the last one that I did where I ordered my RG Simple stuff just what three months ago. Was that the black, or maybe it was the Black Friday special, whatever it was.
Mhm.
I ordered it knowing ahead of time they're going to charge me shipping that I didn't want to pay. So the first time I ordered from them, I think they charged me $13, and this time around they charged me $20 for shipping. And I don't think I noticed any extra charges on the credit card for the reason they do that. That's for like money exchange or something. Then they charge you whatever amount they want to exchange your money, and then that gets stuck on somewhere. So I'm just curious how all that went.
Yeah, pretty smoothly. And I'll have to go back and double check on the slipping in charge thing. I don't think so, but I can check.
And to order it, you just go to their webpage and say, "Give me one of these and one of these," and that's pretty much all it took to do that.
Painless.
Not that I need any more GPS stuff right now, but
Yeah, I got some IMUs I can sell you.
don't get them running. If you got one that almost works, don't get rid of it completely. So
Yeah.
keep it on there so you can compare stuff back and forth. And
I'll need a dumpster one day.
yeah, I should ask that guy what it cost him for his dumpster. I have no idea what they charge you for that. It's like $200 to get this delivered and then take it away, or is it more than that or less than that? I've never done that, so
Yeah, I don't. I think I'm done with the recording, but the last $500 for a small one in Houston. Last time my buddy who builds houses, I think, did it. That's a couple of years ago, though. Probably with inflation, it's double.
okay.